Hey guys, Stealth here, and welcome to War Room episode 17. I had to skip last week's War Room because I was down with the flu, and I had to save whatever voice I had left at the stage or at that time to do my XCOM videos and a few Wargame videos here and there. But back now, so answering some questions here and there, discussing what happened last 2 weeks by now on the channel, and what's going to happen this week. To start off with the former, last 2 weeks I did a lot of XCOM 2. Some of it I posted on my channel, some of it I didn't, and I just played for myself in my own campaign. Don't worry, I'll still put up Wargame Red Dragon content. It'll just be a little less than what you're used to, because I am just enjoying XCOM that much that it's really taking away from the time that I'm spending playing XCOM. The time that I'm playing XCOM is taking away from the time that I'm playing Wargame. Come on, Stealth, get it right. But don't worry, Wargame is not gone from the channel. It has just taken a slightly back seat. And if that's causing you to unsubscribe, I understand. Don't worry. If you still want to carry on, don't worry. Wargame is still here to stay, and you can expect more Wargame in the future. Anyway, I also had to cancel my tournament, unfortunately. I was expecting a few more registrations, and I only got 6 registrations so far, or I believe, no, 7. I got 7 registrations. That caused me to cancel the tournament, especially because the tournaments, or the teams that did register, were some of the newer players. And one of the teams was ANZ, which, if you've been following up with Reddit's tournament, is one of the, let's say, the top teams in Wargame tournaments, which would completely steamroll any kind of team that is just getting into Wargame. I know that Vulcan HD Gaming is doing a tournament, but I'm not exactly sure about the how and the why. I know it's an invitational, so probably more on that on Vulcan's channel, and I expect you're going to see a bit of content here and there, depending on whether he can get his tournament off the ground and what we can expect from his tournament. But you'll just have to follow along with his channel to do so. Aside from that, as I mentioned, flu incapacitated me for quite a few days. I tend to be a bit hard on myself when I have the flu, because normally I think, okay, flu, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to do anything for work, so I'll just make YouTube videos, or I'll just play Wargame. Well, is that really reasonable? Because, let's face it, Wargame forces you to make quite a few decisions in a very short time span, which means you have to be there with your attention, with your presence. And isn't that, as far as decision making is concerned, or as far as activities are concerned, pretty similar to what you should do in your regular job? Of course, it completely depends on your job. For me, doing coaching runs or giving workshops would not exactly be viable, but I could still reach out to new contacts through LinkedIn, and even that is something that I usually just skip over. Maybe that's something you recognize when you have the flu. Maybe you're just on the couch Netflixing all day. Maybe you're just playing Wargame all day, or another game if you're choosing. Let me know. What do you do when you have the flu? Anyway, this week, doing some cold calling for my business, and that, I gotta say, is a really, really new concept for me. Cold calling, if you're not familiar with the term, is just calling a company out of the blue and asking them if they're interested in your product, which takes quite a lot of willpower, I gotta say, quite a lot more than I had expected. Still, I'm hoping that it's going to give me some new workshops that I can do, and if you're not familiar with it, workshops for me that I'm doing are nonverbal communication, or body language. It's a very, very important part in our communication. Most companies don't do this, or haven't had training in it, and that's exactly where I come in. Anyway, the cold calling, taking away quite a bit of my attention, and usually I just do this for about an hour, say hour and a half a day. Still though, I've pretty much set it up as a condition. If I don't do cold calling, I cannot make a video, and making a video is something that I really, really enjoy doing. So what I want to do is set it up as a condition, so that I force myself to carry on and do the cold calling and get some more clients. Aside from that, what you can expect this week on the channel is more Wargame. Probably more Wargame European Escalation, because the campaign seems to be really popular. The campaign, I gotta say, the last mission that I uploaded yesterday, I thought it would be very, very difficult, because I was warned that the mission was extremely tough. It took me 75 minutes, or a little over an hour, and I gotta say, it wasn't really that hard, or not as hard as I had expected. I thought it would be harder, but just taking out the refinery, capturing it with infantry, yeah, I lost a ton of stuff. But I think I came out of that mission with 10,000 points in kills and 1,500 points in losses, so still a very decent markup. But really, I had expected that mission to be a bit harder. What I have done, though, with that campaign is wear out my battle group quite a bit, which means I may have to bring in reinforcements. So I may have to spend points on getting another card of units in, so that I can replace some of the lost T-80s and T-70Us, or T-72s that I've lost. Aside from that, probably more Wargame Red Dragon. I still have quite a lot of replays that you guys sent in, and I just don't get around to them. But that's probably going to change this week. I'll make sure I do a few replays here and there that you guys sent in, so that there's more Wargame Red Dragon content up as well. Now, last week I was able to output, let's say, 2 videos per day. Mostly XCOM, sometimes 1 episode of XCOM and 1 episode of Wargame. That is not always going to be the case, as I'm going to slightly revert to 1 episode a day, considering that 2 episodes a day is just a bit much. I just cannot really keep up. I usually record these things in advance, which means that I have a bit of a queue. But if I record multiple episodes, or if I publish multiple episodes a day, it is really chopping into my schedule or into my queue very, very quickly. Meaning that I have to be outputting twice as much content, which is not always something that I can do. I mean, I really, really enjoy it, but it's not always something I can do. Aside from that, there were some questions here and there on last week's, or no, actually the previous War Room, which was already 2 weeks ago. Prague asked me, Stealth, if you ever played Paradox games, or any of the Paradox games. Hearts of Iron series is a very good in terms of warfare. No, I haven't played it. I looked at their website. Hearts of Iron 4 looks really, really good. I gotta say that. It's something that I consider getting into, so I signed up for the newsletter. If you're not familiar with the game, join me, because I am not familiar with the game either. All I know is what I've seen on their website, which is basically that you have a very, very large front, let's say the West German front, prior to them capturing France, let's say 1939, 1940. Whereas you seem to be in command over the invasion, and not only land invasion, but also naval operations, air ops, probable espionage, or at least the game looks like it's something that would be featuring as well. Hearts of Iron 3 is out. It's been out for a while. Doesn't look very modern. Hearts of Iron 4 looks a bit better, but it isn't out yet. So I'm going to be looking at that game, seeing when it comes out. And I think that could be an interesting gameplay, or an interesting playthrough on the channel. Let me know what you think after seeing the screenshots, after seeing some of the videos. And let me know if it's something you would like me to cover. A link to that is in the description down below. Ian, none of your business, asked, hey Stealth, do you watch any anime? No. One of my friends used to. I watched a few episodes with him, and I thought it was just, I don't know, it was too weird for me. Sorry if that's insulting, but it's just not my style. Not really my thing. Brickbuster asked, have you ever played a Civilization game like Civ 5, Beyond Earth, etc.? Yes, I've played quite a lot of Civ 4. Actually managed to infect my girlfriend slash fiancée now with Civ 4. She doesn't play quite as much, but if she's on holiday, she can play up to, well, a couple hours a day of Civilization 4. Civilization 5, I didn't think it was that good. I didn't play that much of it. Civ Beyond Earth, for me, was just confusing. because the new tech tree was very, very different from what I'm used to. The units were completely different. I mean, I'm used to working with a lot of different units, like Wargame. I mean, we have 1500 or 1600 units which are in the armory. In Civilization, I think you get, what is it, 6 different units, maybe 8? I don't know, I just found it a bit boring. And I know the Civ games can get very, very good, but nah, not really my thing. I try to like them very, very much, but I just cannot figure them out. The one thing that I did play a while ago was Civ 5, and especially with one of the, I think the expansions or the patches with Civ 5, you can now invade ships or invade cities by using ships. As I'm a very, very big fan of using ships, what I usually ended up doing was just go in with a very large navy against the AI and just try to take over their cities. And it usually worked. You just gotta keep rotating your ships, heal up the wounded ones, make sure the strongest ones are at the front, taking the city, bombard them, and do it all over again. And depending on what kind of map you're playing at, I found it rather easy. And yeah, not that interesting. So don't expect any Civ 5 on my channel, or Civ Beyond Earth, or any of the Civs, because I just don't enjoy it that much. XCOM, that's something I enjoy. Because for me it's one of those games which, I think as Jingles put it, just doesn't give you everything. You really, really have to fight for it. And it's a longer campaign. It tends to turn into a sort of story, where you have your favorite soldiers, which you can of course name after yourself, name after your friends, name after your family, whatever. And if they get hurt, you actually start feeling that pain in a way. You actually get hurt from losing your favorite troops. Or if you had, for example, that favorite operator that you were using, and in the end you end up killing him, it hurts. You're going like, oh damn, I really shouldn't have lost her or him, or that really leaves a hole in your team. So stuff like that is something that I really, really enjoy in XCOM, and you have it in Wargame Red Dragon, but to a much lesser extent. You have it a little bit in the campaigns though, where you have, of course, the let's say the unit veterancy level that's retained, as well as the amount of tanks that are in a battle group, but you don't really get a personal connection with the specific unit. Because sometimes they're going to be called, let's say, Taylor Webb, as this Challenger 2, sometimes they're going to be called Zachary, sometimes they're going to be called Temple. Next mission, they're going to have a different name, which is really unusual, but it just does not promote any kind of, let's say, interaction or personal attachment to the unit that you're talking with, or playing with, actually. So that's something that I really, really appreciate over XCOM. Anyway, other question. Stealth, would you consider playing Man of War Assault Squad 2? Yes, I would consider it. I actually played it a little bit. I found out that I don't know, it just wasn't really the game for me, because either there was too much going on, or I was just so inexperienced in the game that I was completely overwhelmed. And that was against an AI. So I'm not that good of a player in Men of War Assault Squad 2. I can put up some footage, let's see how that gets received. But don't expect any pro level on that game, because that's just not something I do very well in that game. While I don't believe it's all that different from Wargame. Tactically, strategically speaking, it's not all that different. But practically speaking, in the way of gameplay, in the way of how you command your units, the amount of units, what you want to do with those units, that's very different. Also, I found that the game pace is a bit higher. And I'm not saying that I'm slow, but the game pace for me was just too fast. I just found it hard to keep up. Which may be a strange thing to say, but I just couldn't really figure out what the hell was going on, how many units I had, what was going on, where my attention needed to be. All of that stuff, not really my strong suit. But again, I'll put up some content, let you know, or actually you guys let me know how you enjoy that. Aside from that, that was the questions for last week's, or actually the War Room 2 weeks ago. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below and I'll be happy to answer them. Aside from that, there's, as I mentioned, more XCOM 2 coming up, more Wargame coming up, a little bit of Man of War Assault Squad 2 coming up. And with that, I think that that's going to be covering, let's say, the next week, 2 weeks. So if you have any questions for next week's War Room, let me know in the comments. If you have any games you would like me to play, let me know in the link, or in the description, in the comments down below. As for the description, you can find a link there to Paradox Games with Hearts of Iron 4. Let me know if that's something you would like me to play when it comes out, because I think it looks good, it's just not out yet, but we can keep our eye on it, and I can be one of the first ones to cover that as it comes out. So, as always, thank you for watching, hope you have a good week, hope you enjoy the content that I'm putting out, and that I'll be seeing you in the next video.